Everyone, my name is Walid bin Khalid. I am a computer science major student at Habib University, and this semester I am taking a course named as Object-Oriented Programming. The language that we are using for this course is C++. As our final project, we are required to make a video game, and the name of our video game is Hawaii Firing. Now, before you visualize or assume anything about our game, I'll make it very clear that it's not a shooting game or a killing game. In fact, it's a very funny and a very basic game, and there are two reasons that we have chosen this name for our video game. The first one being that we had to provide some local context for our video game, and the second one being that our game is inspired from an older game known as Bubble Trouble. As you can see, the game that we are inspired from requires us to shoot bullets into the air at randomly and hit random bubbles, and as these bubbles are being hit, oh and as the bubbles hit us, we lose a life, and as we hit the bubble split into two until we vanish all of them from one given level, and we progress to another level. We have decided to add some new features. I've been playing this game for so long, and I still play it in a lot of my lectures at university to pass time. We have introduced the idea of an enemy that will attack us from the other side of the wall. We've also introduced a different mechanism for life and health in this game. The trajectory of the bubble will be different for each level, and will make it more difficult and interesting this time around. We'll have different setups for each level, as the size of the walls and the obstacles in each level will be different. This is our UML diagram, actually the first version of our UML diagram. As we'll progress, we'll also add new attributes and member functions and probably make new classes to assist our game. The classes in yellow will be handled by me, and the other classes will be handled by my group members. Their names are Amna Anwar and Naima Khalid. We'll also be assisting each other in making their own classes so that we have a good idea of what's happening inside each class and how is it contributing to the overall game. The character class is basically a class that I made because there were a lot of things that were common between the player and the enemy. So I thought it's better to make a parent class for these two classes. The life and the shield class inherit from the abstract parent class, which is the reward class. There is a weapon, bullet, and bubble class as well. The bubble class is responsible for the trajectory and the bounce of the bubble, the splitting of it into new bubbles, and also generating rewards at random. The enemy and the player object will have different features, different life, different amount of lives, different health features, different damage power. The character has an array of life. The character also has an instance for the weapon. The weapon has an array of.
For my part of the project, I will be working on all this part in pink. First, there's the point class. This will be used to get the position of all the items that are being displayed on the screen, like the player, enemy, bubbles, buttons, and words. Then there's the letter class. This will use the ASCII code and the SDLRect function to clip the specific letters and numbers from the font sprite, like this one over here. The word class will contain a dynamic array of letters. All the words will be made up of different letter objects. Then there's the screen class, which will be the parent class for all the different game screens. This class will contain a dynamic array of buttons and an L texture object for the background, which will provide the image for the background of different game screens. And it also contain an L texture object for the fonts that are used for the different game screens. This class will also contain the mouse motion events and the mouse click events. These functions will be inherited by the game screen classes. The main menu screen will display the name of the game, and it will have different buttons like the start game, options, help, and quit. The game over screen will display the final score of the player, and it will also have different buttons like the play again button, the main menu button, and the quit button. The user will also get the option to pause this game. So on this screen, the user can either resume the game or they can quit the game.
So the idea behind the level class is that it will read information about each level from a text file, and then it will use it to define each level, and the information will look something like this. So for the first level, we have the level number of bubbles that will be present in it, and other information. which is mentioned here, and each hyphen. So while reading, it can tell the information for the first level ends here, and yeah. Other than that, I haven't worked much on the coding part. I was only able to render a screen, the game level screen, but it wasn't much as it was just rendering an image, and this needs a lot of work, which we'll try to do in this week. So about the health bar, we will be picking these bars from the spreadsheet that I've created. So these ones. And since we wanted a DC context, so I decided to go with Commander Safe. So this will be basically our player, and since in Bubble Trouble we see the backside of the player, so I made the back view of Commander Safeguard, and this is the enemy. We decided to add enemies that will walk upside down on the roof, and the enemy will shoot bullets. So this is the enemy bullet and this is the player's bullet. Other than that, these are the bubbles that the player will have to shoot and destroy. And that's it.